So Cadence, what I need to see is your prediction page from the journal, making a prediction, and put that in your packet so for me to see. If I see you do it, you will get points for it as well, okay? Yes.
It says writing.
Right,
not
reading. Yeah, we are writing. This is writing class, not reading. Shoot. I will write myself a note. We did not do. All right, we are on page. We ended on the top of page 49, where Susan and Peter are talking to the professor, and the professor doesn't seem all that shocked by what he has heard. Gabe, you may read top of 49 and then go until what has that to do with it, said the professor.
Well, how could it be true? Said Peter. Why do you say that? Asked the professor. Well, for one thing, said Peter, if it was real, why doesn't everyone find this country every time their dog is being killed? I mean,
All right, so the professor is not at all buying into Peter and Susan's theories. I especially like it if when Peter says, well, for one thing, if it was real, why doesn't everyone find this country every time they go to the wardrobe? Good question. Why? And he said that there's nothing there when we looked. Even Lucy didn't pretend there was. What does that have to do with it? I like this. Well, sir, if things are real, they're there all the time. And the professor just said, are they? The plot thickens. So, Christian, you are going to start, but there was no time until away for hours.
but there was no time. Lucy had no time to go anywhere, even if there was such as a flood. She came running after us. There was such
The very moment she came running after us.
very moment where we were out of the room. It was less than a minute when she pretended to have the away for hours.
All right, so there's a lot of factual questions going on. Why is it that when we don't go into the wardrobe every single time, do we not find this new world? And time is not adding up. Lucy said she was in there for hours. She came back within minutes. Would these be questions you'd ask if somebody told you there was a world within a wardrobe? Yes. Especially if you went in the wardrobe and found nothing but a wall. What's up with that? Cole.
I kind of think that, I haven't read the book or watched the movie, but I kind of think, that you have to believe in it to get through the wardrobe.
But did Edmund believe?
No.
So it's a good prediction. But Edmund was the biggest cynic of them all. But he got through. But that is a good point, Cole. Why can't everybody get through? To me, the logic would be if you believed, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Owen?
If you were a kid?
Maybe. Christian?
Maybe Lucy has to like go by herself, and then if somebody wants to come in, they have to like try to sneak in so the wardrobe don't see them or something.
So Lucy, you're saying Lucy's kind of the key to opening the world. Maybe. Ella?
Maybe only one person can go in at a time.
No, but Lucy and Edmund were in there at the same time. But they didn't see each other while they were in there. But remember, Lucy was visiting Mr. Tumnus, and who was Edmund with? The white. Yes. So they were both in there at the same time. I like how you're all thinking, though. This is awesome. Helen.
I think, like, let's say you don't believe it, but so, like, let's say Lucy's already in the world, and then you also go in, and then, like, you go in, and then, they're able to go through too because somebody's already in the world.
So you're saying, too, that Lucy's the key. Lucy is kind of the key component to opening the world to Narnia. Maybe. I'm not going to say. But I think these are all fabulous, fabulous ideas. Cole.
Maybe Edmund was just trying to tease Lucy to make him look smarter, and he actually believed in it the whole time.
Oh, so you're saying that Edmund actually believes and that's why he got in. Maybe. How many times have you in your lifetime said you don't believe something, but yet you really deep down you do? So that could be, maybe if there's a flicker of belief, you can get into Narnia. So we'll see. Yes, Christian.
Maybe whoever believes, they can always be the key to open the wardrobe.
Maybe. Well, I like that. So whoever believes is the key to opening the door to Narnia. I like that. Ooh, that's very good. Yes, go ahead, Jeremiah. All right, so we go through everybody. So we're going to start over. Now I'm trying to remember if it's there. Okay. All right. Emma, you may finish on page 49 and then just one big paragraph, and then end at telling her story.
That is the very thing that makes her story so likely to be true, said the professor. If there really is a door in this house that leads to some other world, then I should warn you that this is a very strange house, and even I know very little about it. If I say he had got into another world, I should not at all be surprised to find that the other world has a separate time of its own. So however long you stay there, it would never take up any of our time. On the other hand, I don't think many girls of her age would invent that idea for themselves. If she had been pretending, she would have hidden for a reasonable time before coming out and telling her story.
So the professor has some very, very interesting points. He says, for one thing, this is a strange house. I would not be at all surprised if something like this happened in this house. There are things I don't know about this house. So we have a strange house. So we also, his theory on time is that if you would go into another world, of course there's going to be a different time frame. So that's a thought. So he's not at all debunking the idea that there's a different time period between Narnia and our world. And then his point about Lucy. What was his point about Lucy? What did he say about her and the story that she told? Cole.
That she would have, if she was pretending, she would at least stay for a bit longer to make her story seem more true.
Yes. Yes. And also, a girl at that age, how could she invent such a story? Unless she's got a fantastic imagination, which she may. So all really, really good points. The professor is very wise. And I like that he is not saying Lucy is making this up. I like how he is giving Lucy the benefit of the doubt. I wonder why. So, let us move on. Do you think Lucy and, hi,
I just realized I read the wrong day in my schedule.
That's all right.
I read Tuesday instead of.
that's all right. We are pretty much done anyways, unless we could, oh no, you gotta go to
I gotta
fifth
go
grade.
from,
Yep,
yeah, so I just
Yep.
wanted to apologize.
yep, no worries.
Okay.
Who thinks the professor is swaying Peter and Susan's ideas or mind? Do you think Susan and Peter are becoming more of a believer in Lucy or more cynical? Ella? More believing. Who believes more believing? Raise your hand. Who thinks more cynical? All right, well, we will find out. You have to go to the back. Yeah, go ahead. All right. Not here, Tessa. So you're going to read that final sentence on top of the picture, but do you really mean, sir? And then down to at these schools.
But do you really mean, sir, Peter, that there could be other whales all over the place? Just round the corner like that. Nothing is more
Probable.
probable, said the professor, taking off his
Spectacles, which are glasses.
spectacles and beginning to polish them. Well, he muttered to himself, I wonder what they do teach them at these schools.
All right, so what does it mean when he says nothing is more probable? What do you think probable means? Christian.
Nothing's too hot for him.
Nothing's too hard for him? Not quite. What does probably mean? Grayson.
Like an I don't know. Or a maybe.
Maybe's more close. So when he's, you're,
Like a
add to that. What's that?
Like a yes.
Like a yes? Keep adding. Probable. A maybe, a yes. Winsheen, what do you think?
It's like less than a yes and more than a maybe yes.
Yeah, it probable means that's highly probable, meaning it's could be highly true, meaning I'm not willing to say it is not a fact, but it's highly probable. So he's not saying it's factual, 100% factual. Maybe is close. Probable is, it's definitely a high probability. It could happen. So there could be worlds. If we turned the corner, maybe we'd go to a different world. That'd be fun.
But then again, no, it wouldn't.
If there were no white witches in there.
Yeah.
All right, we can read a little more. Helen is gone. Emma Brandt. You can read at the bottom of 50, but what are we to do to, what's that, said Susan.
So what are we to do, said Susan. She felt that the conversation was beginning to get off the point. My dear young lady, said the professor suddenly, looking up with a very sharp expression at both of them. There is one thing which no one has yet suggested, and which is well worth trying. What's that, said Susan.
Ooh, what is that? Caroline, you may read that next paragraph. We might try to, but that was not to be.
We might all try minding our own businesses, said he. And that was the end of the conversation. Lucy,
No, after this.
after this big thing,
not to be true. All right, so what did the professor tell them to do? Basically what?
Mind your own business.
Yeah. Get on with your life, mind your own business, don't worry about it. So then everyone just kind of stopped thinking about the wardrobe, thinking that because they weren't thinking about the wardrobe, then the wardrobe in Narnia didn't exist. But did it? Oh, yes. All right, we can read a little more. Olivia. Read to the end of the page. It ends, it says, "and rare books in the library." And that's where we're going to end.
This house of the professors, with which even he knew so little about, is so old and famous that people from all over England used to come and ask permission to see over it. It was sort of house that is mentioned in guidebooks and even in histories.
Mm-hmm.
And while it might be for all manner of stories were told about it, some of them even stranger than the one I am telling you now. And when parties of
Sightseers.
sightseers arrived and asked to see the house, the professor always gave them permission. Miss
This is McCready. Mm-hmm.
Mrs. McCready, the housekeeper, showed
Them around.
them around, telling them about the pictures and the armor and the rare books in the library.
All right, there's a lot said here. So this house is famous. What does that mean, famous? It's not just an ordinary house. What does it mean when this old and famous, so old and famous that people from all over England used to come and ask permission to see it? What does famous mean? Ella? Yeah, kind of like our last book. How did Wilbur become famous? Christian?
By Charlotte, she made, words on her leg.
Yes, so famous means something happens that people want to see it. So the house is famous. What does it mean? It was the sort of house that is mentioned in guidebooks. What do you think that means? What is a guidebook? Tyson?
A book that you get so you can see where the most interest places.
Yes. Who has ever traveled and they took a book with them and told them where to go, what places to see, the good spots to go see? So a guidebook is a book that tells you information about this particular site. In this case, the professor's house. It's actually mentioned in books to go visit it because of all these reasons. So this house, there's a lot more to this house than we thought. Sounds like an interesting house, full of mysteries. So is it at all surprising that a other world is a portal or an entrance into another world? We're learning more interesting things about this house. Yes, Christian?
Is this famous house real?
No, this is not a real story. But it's an interesting story, nonetheless. So, it's a very beautiful, you turn the page, you see a picture of the beautiful house. It looks like a beautiful old estate. So I'm just going to read this next page and then we're going to be done. Mrs. McCready was not fond. What does fond mean? What does fond mean? Cole. Yeah, she's not fond of children. She doesn't like children and did not like to be interrupted when she was telling visitors all the things she knew. She had said to Susan and Peter almost on the very moment, along with good many other instructions, and please remember, you're to keep out of the way whenever I'm taking a party over the house. Whenever I'm taking a party over the house, that's an odd statement. First of all, what does she mean by I'm taking a party? You mean they're having a birthday party or something? James. Yes. It's interesting how she says over the house, I mean like they're flying over the house, but over the house meaning they're going around the house. Just as if any of us would want to waste half the morning trailing around with a crowd of strange grown-ups, said Edmund. And the other three thought the same. That was how the adventures began for the second time. Ooh. I like how he puts little clues. A few mornings later, Peter and Edmund were looking at the suit of armor and wondering if they could take it to bits when the two girls rushed into the room and said, "Look out, here comes the McCready and a whole gang with her." All right, so she's coming. What are they going to do? Who thinks they're going to go into the wardrobe? Maybe. We will find out tomorrow what is going to happen next time. I know, it's starting to get good. Will they get into the wardrobe?
Maybe, maybe not.